Van Zandt, probably through TV, watching her on Oprah show. She spoke around the world a couple of times. And she grew up in New York City. She grew up in Brooklyn. She was born in the back of a taxi cab to a single mother. She also, was raped at the age of 9 from her uncle after her mom passed and her father had left her to care of her uncles and so on. So after her being 9 years old and being raped and pretty much part of the state and living with different family members and such, she grew up in New York City. She became a teenage mom at the age of 16. By the age of 21, she was married, had 3 different children. She also didn't get to finish school off the bat. Took her time to finish school. She was married. She was part of an abusive relationship. She tried to commit suicide on numerous occasions, which was failed attempts, yet at the same time, you know, she survived. She overcame a lot of obstacles being a teen mom, growing up in New York City, being on welfare, taking care of her children, being married in abusive relationships that actually took her down a spiraling path until she actually wound up meeting someone that actually took her, you know, kind of guided her to become the person who she is now. But she actually looked deep within herself to actually know that she deserved better and more growing up. She, let's see. Her real name is Rhonda Harris. She was born in 1953, September 13th. And growing up back in those days, as she would put it, it was pretty much tough. Just having to go around in the cities, you know, going around to school. There's no school bus that picks you up like the yellow school buses. You have to travel to school. And it was tough for her growing up, yet at the same time, as she became older, went to college, and she pretty much educated herself and spoke around to even teen moms and to abusive mothers. That's how she found her outlet to actually heal herself. And she found a greater purpose in life, being able to help others. Now she actually is on the Oprah, well, the OWN network, Oprah's channel network. And Oprah has given her her own show, which was called Iyanla Fix My Life. And on that show, she either speaks to men or women or couples. And I'm sure some of you actually heard about that man who had, I think he had 31 or 34 children, that she actually was speaking to him. She actually, even during that show, she also apologized to her son just because of the inconsistencies or the people that she actually brought into their lives as children, that she was explaining to that gentleman of him having so many children that it impacted the children themselves. Even though he felt like he could just go and just, you know, continue to live, he had children that eventually will be suffering through the things he had to go through growing up in a single home. You know, let's see. Now she also has another show where she actually goes to either like a subway system. She sets up like a little life tent of some sort, and people get to ask her whatever questions, whether it's about mending friendships, mending relationships with parents and such, and she's actually been able to help them. She also had retreats. I actually met her in at one of her book signings years ago when I read a couple of her self-help books as a teen. I myself was a teen mom. I got pregnant at 15, gave birth at 16. I grew up in a home with both parents, my mother and my father. So it's not like I was lacking anything. I grew up pretty much spoiled, but then I still was out there searching for something. And later, my son's father actually passed away at the age of, let's see, I think he was about 18, about to be 19. So he only worked in New York City. You get to work summer youth, and you start at 14 to work for the city. And it's just for the summer. No matter how old you are, no matter what your family background, you get to work. So my son's father passed away, so I was able to care for my son with Social Security, which is survivor's benefits. And now he's 20, about to be 21. He just had 2 twins the other day. He has his bachelor's degree in business. He lives in Florida. He's doing pretty well for himself. You know, he's planning on eventually going for his master's, but he graduated high school at an early age. Coming from a mother myself, being a mother myself who wound up having to get her GED. I had my son at an early age. I had to drop out of school 6 months before graduation. He had a really bad asthma attack, and I missed over 45 days of school. So that was pretty tough. Later on, met my ex-husband. He's ex now. We have 3 children together. You know, we moved everywhere. He's a chief in the Navy. We wound up having, you know, children before he actually joined the military. We knew each other for some time. And, you know, it was a little bit coincidence between Iyanla and myself, because I was a teen mom. I grew up in New York City, I grew up in the Bronx, she grew up in Brooklyn. And I know what it is to pretty much hustle and bustle and have to, you know, get to school and drop a kid off. And in New York City, you know, it's pretty much the jungle. You know, people always say it's kind of easy to get around. It's not. From the age of 9, I knew how to get from the Bronx to Queens real quick to my mother's job. I had to take 3 or 4 trains just to get there. You know, I just knew how to watch my back, get around, talk to no strangers. And, you know, growing up like that as a child, you pretty much know how to be very hard at a very young age. So that's where, you know, Iyanla and I, we kind of crossed paths and stuff. And in my future, in my near future, I actually still do talk to teens. I work at a hospital now, and I do tend to talk to people, young teens who actually have STDs or have children of their own, or they're pregnant again at 18, 17. And I actually kind of give them additional resources for them to go out there to do better for themselves, because I don't want them to kind of, you know, you don't always have to be that statistic of staying where people think that's where you have to be as a teen mom. So, I think that's about it. And I'm gonna play this for you because I've heard her speak before, and this actually, to me, means a lot for whether you're male or female. How do I raise the volume on this?
Right there, right next one, the left corner.
Hold on, let me pause.
See where it says the volume.
Oh, yeah, I have a quote.
I want to tell you what saved my life. It saved my life in my deepest, darkest moments. And I've had some, I've had many. In my deepest, darkest moment, what saved me was a vision. A vision. Not what I could see with my eyes, but a vision within myself. I didn't know where it came from, and I didn't know how it was going to happen. But some part of me, when I got still, when I got quiet, when I stopped giving God instructions, when I got still, I could see my life unfolding. And what I'm here to report to you today, that what has unfolded is far, far greater than the vision that I had. But having the vision pulled me forward. A vision will pull you forward. Say that with me. A vision will pull you forward. If you don't have a vision, you're going to be stuck in what you know. And everything you know is what you've already seen. But a vision that grows inside of you, a vision that wakes with you, sleeps with you, moves with you, a vision that you can tap into on your worst, worst, worst days. The vision will pull you forward.
And that is it.